So now, other things that are helping increase commercial trade. Banks. Banks provide capital for people that want to start businesses, for people that need capital to expand their business. Remember, the word capital means money. So banks are going to do this, and one of the things that will increase the size of banking is the acceptance of interest, the expansion of interest, and its acceptance. So interest is, of course, what you pay when you take out a loan. And historically, during the Middle Ages, interest was seen as being a sin. It was seen as usury, which is basically if you loan someone money, you shouldn't charge them interest. You say, oh, Nikki needs $10. Well, I'll give her $10, and I shouldn't accept more back in return. Right? I shouldn't be saying, oh, Nikki needs $10, so I'm going to take advantage of her and say, I'll give you $10, but you have to give me $2 interest, and so then I make money. But it's sort of, that's usury is a sin. And so instead, what we see is the demand for capital is so great that people begin to loan out money and pay interest regardless of what church officials say. And just like we see in scientific breakthroughs, how different churches in different areas sort of allow scientists to communicate across those areas and avoid restrictions in some areas by going to others or publishing elsewhere. Well, same with usury. Same with interest, right? Restrictions in some areas on interest don't mean there's restrictions everywhere on interest. And so if you can't get a loan here, perhaps there's a place to get a loan somewhere else where there's different church officials in charge that are not restricting the economy severely. So what we see then is the acceptance of interest. And it becomes more widespread. And so therefore, if you're starting up a business, you can take out a loan and pay back that interest with the profits that you make. Now, the biggest financial center that will emerge in the commercial revolution is Amsterdam in the Netherlands. And the most prominent bank there is the Bank of Amsterdam. The Bank of Amsterdam will become an international center for finance. And what we mean is that it will be giving out loans to people from around Europe. It will be accepting deposits from people around Europe. In other words, it will be viewed as a safe bank in which people can deposit their money for safekeeping. And it is an exchange, it allows for exchange of currency between people all around Europe. So it's a currency exchange. What the Bank of Amsterdam does is it goes and looks at all these different currencies, and remember there's literally hundreds of different currencies from the different monarchs and princes and all these people that are producing these different coins. And so the Bank of Amsterdam will sort of melt down those currencies and figure out how much actual precious minerals they have, and then they'll create an exchange rate between the different currencies. And so the Bank of Amsterdam will become the benchmark exchange rate. So people around Europe will take their money and exchange it for the Bank of Amsterdam coins, and they'll deposit their money in the Bank of Amsterdam, and they'll take out loans from the Bank of Amsterdam and pay it back with interest. And so this plays a large role in financing the commercial ventures that are part of the commercial revolution. Finally, one last thing, also financing the commercial revolution is a new type of company called a joint stock company. So if you want to open up a restaurant on the corner, you can take out a loan from a bank, but you can also seek investors. And what companies start to do is they start to have multiple investors who are each going to own stocks in a company. So it will be, they will jointly own this company, and they'll each own a certain amount of stocks in it. So that's what joint stock companies are, right? You're going to have multiple owners, not one person owning it, and people will be able to buy stocks. And then you'll be able to sell your stocks, and if the value of the company's gone up, you'll be able to sell your stocks for more money, and that means you've made a profit. So this is really, the hallmarks of capitalism we see forming during the commercial revolution. Now, once again, this is gradual from the 1500s onwards, but we see stocks and interest and banking and these things, which are, quite prominent in Wall Street and finance today. And what these are doing is not just increasing trade within Europe, but allowing for overseas ventures outside of Europe. These joint stock companies will often be creating things overseas, for example, like the Virginia Company, which is a joint stock company that settles in Jamestown, or other companies like the British East India Company or the French East India Company, which will have investors, and those investors will be part of this merchant class or this entrepreneurial class who will be investing their money in these overseas ventures. So the commercial revolution will be caused by population growth, but it will also allow the continued population growth in Europe. And the commercial revolution will allow for an expansion of commerce. That's what it means, commercial revolution. An expansion in trade over larger distances, more things will be traded.